Okay, the objective of today's lesson, since I'm not here, is to cover some more topics or more stuff for you as to help you get more prepared for the test and IB. So here we have a quadratic function which is in this format, as you know, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. You know that this is a parabola because it is ax squared. We know that this is the y-intercept. How can we tell if this is an upwards or downwards trend? By looking at the a in front. If this number is positive, there should be a U shape like that. If it's a negative number, then it'll be a shape like that. And roughly that is what we're looking at for these few lessons. So here, it is possible that you may use GDC to check your answers first. But as I said, I've taught you all the skills that you need to do this type of questions. So here is us doing it together. I'll do one or two questions with you as to give you an idea of how to do this. And then after that, you may check your answers. Now, as I said, we could be doing completing square or cross method. I'm going to show you how to do the cross method. We know that the factors of 8 are 8 and 1 and 4 and 2. My answers already here is going to be x plus 4 and x plus 2. This is now in the factorized format. So if I were to solve this, my two solutions are minus 4 and minus 2. So right now, by just doing that, we are already have the x-intercept, which is minus 4, 0 and minus 2, 0. So if I were to graph that, my sketch would be something like this. On this side, sorry, let's make it. My line does not look straight, so let me just correct that for you guys. So here, so minus 2 is going to be this side, minus 4 is going to be this side. So it should be a U shape like that. We know that this is minus 2, 0 and this will be minus 4, 0. Okay, so what will happen next? Well, we know that the line of symmetry should be between these two numbers. So you could be using either the formula x equals minus b over 2a. And then having found the two x-intercept, we can now work out, easily the y-intercept, but just by looking at the number at the back. So that means that the y-intercept will be 0, 8 here. So 0, 8. The direction is obviously upwards. I've already drawn it because it's a positive x squared, so upwards is what you should write here. Now the line of symmetry needs to be between these two numbers. As I said, you could be using the formula here or adding these two numbers up, minus 4 plus minus 2. Since I've got that information, I can do that, and that will give me minus 3. So my line of symmetry is x equals minus 3. Having got the line of symmetry, remember that is actually my vertex, which is the turning point here. So I need to label that as well. X equals minus 3. So here will be minus 3. How do I get my final answer? By plugging minus 3 back into here. And that's how I get the y coordinate of that point. So it will be, I'll do it down here, minus 3 squared plus 6 times minus 3 plus 8. If I simplify all that, the answer will be minus 1. And that is how you do this question for this very first one. So for the remainder, you want to do all that and double check everything. You may use the calculations to double check all your answers. Obviously, just to clarify, this will be a negative and up, downwards, and downwards, and downwards. Okay. Right. Next part. So having done all those questions above, what do we want to find out? Well, here is your summary. Well, how do I know what is the direction of opening? Well, to determine the direction of opening, I am looking at the value of a. If the a is greater than 0, then upwards. Oh, you should pause the video now. You should try this first and then see if you get the same answer as me. And a is less than 0, then downwards. That is all that part is telling us. How do I get the x-coordinate of the vertex? Well, before I actually do that, how do we find the line of symmetry? Well, if you know what is the answer for, well, you could be using the formula x equals minus b over 2a, and that means you don't have to start from brand new. Since that is the line of symmetry, that is also the same answer for the x-coordinate of the vertex, so that is actually the same answer. To find the x in the y-intercept, that c at the back is my answer, and that's what the summary is that you need to know about this particular question. Right, let's move on to next question. This is called the the intercept form with y equals a number, x minus a number, which is p, x minus another number, which is q. Here, for this question, what is the number for a? Well, that number is actually just 1. What is a value of p? Actually, plus 2. And what is the value of q? Plus 4. As I said, you can now, this is actually the factorized form. It's actually the same answer that what I did here. You see how I factorized it? Well, that is currently in this format right now. So how do I solve it? Well, to solve it, you can see it's going to be x minus 2 and x minus 4. That is actually my two roots. So minus 2, 0 and minus 4, 0. So how do I work out what is my opening? Well, to work out your opening, you have to times it out. X times this is x squared. Whatever that number is in front, you have to times it by that, because you remember it will get times by everything. So at the moment, it will be upwards. How do I find the y-intercepts? Again, you have to times up the numbers. This 1 with 2 with 4. So it's literally a times this value minus p and minus q. So for us, it will be 1 times 2 times 4, which will be 8. So 0, 8, because it's the y-intercepts. The line of symmetry, as I said, you could be adding these two. You could be adding these two numbers to find the midpoints, because that is what it's going to be between. You see. So minus 2 plus minus 4 divided by 2 will give me the midpoint formula. So that will be minus 3. X equals minus 3. How about the line of vertex? Well, since I found the line of symmetry, my vertex is actually the same, minus 3. How do I work out the value of y? To work out the value of y, you have to replace x back into these two equations. You actually don't have to times it out. Minus 3 plus 2 and minus 3 plus 4. What's minus 3 plus 2 is minus 1. And what is minus 3 plus 4 is positive 1. What is minus 1 times 1? It is minus 1, and this is how I get my final answer. Minus 1. Okay, so give me a minute. I'm just trying to reply an email or a chat about tomorrow for table tennis. Okay, so let's continue. So we are now able to graph it. It should be an upwards. You can tell me everything that we did in question 1 that we did earlier. So let me jump to another question. Let's jump to the very last one. Okay. So here we have it in the same formats. What is my two roots? Well, my two roots is x equals 1 and x equals 3. Since I've worked this one, that actually tells you what is my midpoint. What is my midpoint? You add these two up and divide it by 2. So that means the answer will be x equals 2. Remember, that is the vertex point, so it's 2. So how do I solve it? 2 minus 1, 2 minus 3. If I solve this, it'll be minus 2 times 1 times a minus 1. What's minus 2 times 1? It's minus 2. Minus 2 times a minus 1 is plus 2. And that is how I find my y coordinate. How do I get my vertex? Well, as I said, my vertex is already there. X equals 1, so it'll be 1, 0 and 3, 0. How do I get my y-intercept? My y-intercept is obtained by minus 2 times a minus 1, which will give me a 2. And then 2 times minus 3 is minus 6. So here, it will be 0 minus 6. How do I know if it's upwards? Well, let's look at the x squared. It's x times 6 is x squared, but that's not all. You have to times it by minus 2x. So actually the answer is minus 2x squared, so this is downwards. And after that, you can sketch the graph like before. Again, you might want to pause the video for now and see. Alright, so we're now coming back to the summarized part. So hopefully having done those questions, you can figure out what's happening. You can see that the A value in front, this value here, will tell me, as like before from the above, that if A is positive or A is greater than 0, then upwards, and A is less than 0, downwards. So how do I find the x-coordinate of the vertex? Well, with this format, you, as I showed you in this previous question, you can add up the two roots and divide by 2 would be the answer for both of these. So here you will do p plus q divided by 2, and this one will be the same, p plus q divided by 2, because it's in that format. How do I find the x-intercept? Well, to find the x-intercept, you just solve the brackets here. So roughly they are just p and q. And how do I find the y-intercept? Yes, it is minus p times minus q, but remember to also times that. So a times p times q will give me the y-intercept. And that's a summary of the intercept format. I now continue with some IB questions as to gauge you an idea of how they might ask some questions. So yeah, let's have a feel. So the graph of the quadratic function is given as ax squared plus bx plus c, intersects at the y-axis at the point 0,5 and has its vertex at the point 413. So what you are asked is, what do you fully understand to go backwards? What some of the information has been given? Well, first part is I can tell you that this here is telling us what of this actual original quadratic function. Well, that's 0,5 tells me that this is the y-intercept. So here we have ax squared plus bx plus 5. And that's how you get 1 mark. That is the value of c. So you probably want to write here c equals 5, just based on that. Hence 1 mark. Answer. By using the coordinates of the vertex, what is the coordinates of the vertex? Well, the coordinates of the vertex is this minus b over 2a. What is the coordinate of the vertex? The coordinate of the vertex is 4. So instead of me writing x, I can write 4 equals. What is b? Well, b is still b, so b minus b above, over 2 times a. So if I want to simplify it, times the 2a over, so minus b equals 8a. So if I want to work that, so that's some format there. Now, it says you want to write down 2 equations. So how do I get 2 equations? Well, remember, this is here, the x and y coordinate. You can plug it back in. This is what y is. So 13 is equal to a times 4 squared plus b times by 4. And then not plus c, because we know what that is. It's 5. So here we have 13 equals 16a squared plus 4b plus 5. Right, that's wrong. Not 16a squared, it's 16a. Right, having done that, we are now simplifying it. 16a plus 4b equals 8. So how do I solve these two simultaneous equations? Well, you have to plug it back in. I prefer my b equals positive, so I'm going to times it across by that. What is b? Well, 16a plus 4 minus 8a equals 8. 16a minus 32a equals 8. We have 16 minus 32 is minus 16a. So if I divide this, this is going to be minus a half. So that is what a is. So we can now plug it into here. What is a? Minus a half. So what is minus 8 times minus a half? It's a positive 4. So here is my actual equation. F of x is equal to minus half x squared plus 4x plus 5. And that's how I find this original equation. What is A? We already know what A is. A is minus a half. B is 4. And that's the answer for this question. This is the style that you'll be doing with the following rest of the questions. I'll do one or two more to get you the gist. So the graph of the quadratic function f of x equals c plus bx minus x squared intersects the y-axis at 0, 5 and has a vertex point of 2, 9. This is similar to the last one. So is it okay that you can try to do this one yourself and figure out that one yourself? Okay. I'm just trying to figure out which one is probably best for me to try and do with you. Okay, for here, this is just composite function. I think you can do this, but should I do it? I'm thinking, let me think. Remember, to find the domain is the x-axis and the range is the y-axis for this quadratic function. So let's just give you an example what this last question part is. So we know that this graph, assuming is, actually I need to work out what A is. I have to work out what kind of, is it upwards or downwards? Let's see. If I plug in x is 2 right now. So here will be 5 minus 2 plus a 2 squared is going to be equal to minus 5. So, yep. Minus 5 equals 3 plus 4a. If I move that 3 over, it'll be minus 8. So a is minus 2. You can see that this is now a downward graph. So roughly f of x is 5 minus x minus 2x squared. So it will have a y-intercept for here like this, something like that. Okay, how do I know that? Because the y-intercept is 5, 0, 5, so that's why it's crossing above here. We know that it is a negative part, so that's why it has to go like that. I'm not sure if it goes this way or this way yet, because I haven't done anything much there. But I'm just want to talk about the domain. The domain is all the x values. So to work out the range, you need to work out the maximum value there and then go downwards. So let's just say if that value was, let's see, 2, 4, for example. This is not the answer, by the way. I'm just saying if this was the answer, 2, 4, then my range would be y is less than or equal to 4. Remember, the domain is everything from the x-axis, and then for the range is everything from wherever it goes up to and downwards. So this one, so y is less than or equal to 4. But as I said, this is not the answer. Having now got the actual equation, we could graph this and work this out. So this is the actual equation, 5 minus x minus 2x squared. And that's how you do this question. Here, you're told that the x-intercept, I might do this one with you, and I'll call this the last one, because it's getting late right now, and I need to get ready for tomorrow. So here, question 11, this is a part of a quadratic graph. First of all, can you tell me what the sign is? Well, obviously it's minus x squared, because it's given there. We're told that one of the x-intercept is 5, 0, so obviously this must be, I think, if I was to assume correctly, this will be 5, 0. The maximum point is 3, so here we have 3 something, 3y, whatever that y is. That y should be positive. Well, obviously, due to the fact quadratic has line of symmetry, you can easily suss out that this should be 2, 0. And that's just observation. But obviously, they want us to work out what is the value of b and c. Well, to work out the value of b, you use symmetry, which is the x equals minus b over 2a. What is my x? My x is actually this 3. What is my b? My b is still minus b. And what is a? A is minus 1, so 2 times minus 1. If I solve that part, it will be 3 equals minus b over minus 2. So are you happy that will be b over 2? So b would be 6. And that's how we get that first answer there. So having got that is 6, I want to work out what c is. So let's see. Let me just plug it in to the actual equation first now. 3 f of x equals minus x squared plus 6x plus c. Do I know any coordinate that goes through? Yes, I do. This part or the other part I've sussed out. So remember, this is the x and y. So remember, this is really just y, and that is the x and the x. So I can work it out. So 0 equals, let's see, this is a minus 5 squared plus 6 times 5 plus c. You're now able to solve it. 0 equals minus 25 plus 30. 0 equals 5 plus c. So c equals minus 5. And that's how you work out that part. And yes, if you look at the graph above, you can see that this is a negative y-intercept. So my actual f of x is actually minus x squared minus plus 6x minus 5, and that is the original function. We are told that we have the domain from 0 to 6, that is the domain values that are allowed. So from here, 0 to 6, what is my domain? My domain is from x to here. So what is my range? My range is my y values. What is my y value? Well, we need to work out what this y is. To work out that y, I plug in 3 into the equation. So f of 3. So it'll be minus 3 squared plus 6 times 3 minus 5, which will be minus 9 plus 18 minus 5. So that will be 9 minus 5, which will be 4. So my domain is from 0 to 6. What's my range? Well, we know what this is now. Instead of y, I write 4. Every range is going to be from this and downwards because it's going to be going forever. So the range value is y is less than or equal to 4, and that is my inequality for the range. And hopefully this helps you to do some of the questions in this paper since I'm not here today.